It always happens to where I catch it just at the right time. And had I not caught it then it would have been the other number. So I'll pick it up exactly the right time. That's amazing. How do you do that? How do you even begin picking up a phone at the right time every time? Like, and you think like, oh, you're not supposed to have a phone. Like, totally not. But every time you look at the motherfucker, it's this amazing angel number that's so synchronized with the precision of the moment that it's just like, apparently I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. And so that's been happening for us currently, in every possible way all day. So I have to imagine that even though this is a different flow than I'm used to, being that I usually, go into towns and I'm by myself and feeling the flow, that this time I came with another person because the last time I went to a town and was by myself and did all these different things in the flow, I met a person. And that person came with me. And they just wanted to do that. Who knows? Who knew what can happen? It's kind of like a weird, flimsy situation hanging out with me. Because who knows what I could possibly do at any moment? I could just switch completely into a completely different character. Like, what happened? Ryan was this guy just a moment ago. Well, now the moment's changed. Ryan's become the moment again. He's all versatile. He's all formless. He's just doing his thing. I don't know. And he's not attached to it. He's immediately going to release any attachment at any moment. So it could be quite terrible and not very solidifying for anybody who wishes for that kind of grasping. But I'm unable to grasp in that way. It's like all of a sudden, what happened? It's like, oh, I have to laugh for the next 5 years. You're just laughing for 5 years? I'm laughing for 5 years. I don't know why I'm laughing for 5 years, but it feels like the only thing I want to do in my life for some reason. It's like the greatest thing in the world. Or maybe I'll cry for 5 years, or maybe I'll die for 5 years. Look, he's dying the whole time. 5 whole years of death. And then he just got up and walked away. He was done with death. He did it already for 5 years. He was done. He was, oh. So it's interesting, it seems strange for somebody to come with me, see me, bring with me. And being here in Sedona, Arizona is amazing, sure. I mean, not that we've seen a lot of Sedona, Arizona. I mean, we've seen it like in the distance, like as if we were like looking at a picture. Look at that beautiful mountain range over there, the amazing vortexes of energy. So much power, so much enlightenment there possible. And we have not gone to any of them. We found one vortex, and it was inside of a country store. And we found it through complete walking random in the flow. We even discussed how we were walking randomly in the flow. And we even got to the point where it was like, okay, we've walked randomly in the flow for no reason. Kind of like the other day when we found the big crystal, which was lucky that we walked all the way to the other side of town so that we could meet this giant crystal, but, who knew the crystal was there and who knew we were walking the right direction? Kind of the same thing because it was actually the other side of the same town, uptown Arizona, as the other vortex is the other side. So we got to meet these two high energy points, and that's real nice. But who knew? At the time that it was like, yeah, for sure, we definitely walked the wrong way. Okay, there's definitely no bus stop. Okay, we're definitely. Alright, I told her that we could trust the flow. I was like, look, you can just trust it. It'll take you exactly to the right spot. And then we get to the spot, the last spot possible, and shit. Well, it's got some cool Buddhist statues, but obviously this is some kind of country store, and we have big backpacks, so they don't probably like us very much. And they did think that maybe I was a thief. They're like watching me, like to see if I was going to be like a stealing person or something. And we talked to each other, and the guy Bill, who owns the shop, older man, showed me his pottery. We had a good laugh. He talked to me about the vortex that was there. And apparently there's a fucking vortex in the store. Like, what the fuck? And there's a tiny little vortex. There's like, had an arrow hanging off of a hook or something. That was like pointing down at a bench, like, vortex right here. I saw it. I was like, vortex right there? Like, all right, well, let's sit under it. I'm like, maybe it's just a sign because it's Arizona and you can buy a little plastic sign that says there's a vortex here or something. I don't know. It's just kind of like a Sedona themed spoof thing or something. I sat under it and felt like there's some different pressure going on. I was like, this feels like there really might be a vortex here, actually. Alright. So then I scoot over to the left, feeling completely awkward that I wasn't meant to be sitting there, like they were thinking of me as a thief or something, and so they're like watching me, and maybe they're wondering what this man doing. But I sat under the vortex anyway, and I felt the energy, and it kind of was like a ketamine ceremony. It was pretty amazing. It was like the previous one that I had just had at Unison Festival just before. And it brought me into breathing in the breath, breathing in the moment, breathing all the energies through me, allowing myself to be shaped and molded by the moment through the breath, just the presence of the breath, the releasing of tensions, the relaxing of this, relaxing of that, the allowing of form and shape to move with the geometries of the moment, bringing back in high-level DMT teachings that had come to me in ceremony previously to show me the seriousness of riding the flow in a certain manner because of how it does affect everything, so how responsible I must be in remembering these teachings and remembering to be very present and full in the cycle and not backing out of it or going into distraction and all these different things. And so in that way, I knew to sit there with the energy and breathe and allow it to be felt and allow the feeling to occur until finally the feeling was gone. And then I was able to come out to you and tell you about the vortex after the man of the store I had met had told me, yeah, there's a vortex over there. So a bunch of spiritual people come in and they said the vortex is right here, is what they told him. It's right in that spot. So he put the arrow right on the spot of the vortex. And it was cool. We found this little mini random vortex. You're not going to find it in a brochure or a guide somewhere. No, no, no. It's just a random country store man's vortex. He just happened to own that store there. And we happened to be guided to the strange right spot. And that's the spot we stopped. We were just like, well, obviously we went the wrong way. We walked a long time. We got a heavy backpacks. Now we could walk way more with our backpacks. Now we could walk way more. We're way stronger than we were that day. But on that day, that's as strong as we were, really. So you were quite exhausted. I walked you in the wrong direction for a long time. I was feeling like an awful stupid teacher. Like, oh, I was trying to show her how to fucking follow the flow. And, well, here we are at this completely wrong place. And now we just have to walk back the direction we came. There's no bus stop to take us back that way. You're going to have to walk that sad, lonely journey back to some other bus stop to get uptown where we're going or whatever. Not to uptown, to West Sedona. Because there's West Sedona and there's uptown Sedona. And there's no downtown. Or no East Sedona. There's no North or South Sedona. Just West Sedona and Uptown Sedona. At least that's all I've seen. I think it's odd to name things like that. But alright, whatever. Fine. What I want to call downtown is Uptown. So, whatever. So anyways, about that. I had to go back and get the bus. So let's sit under this shade tree. I have to pee. I'm going to go inside to pee. Holy shit. There's a fucking vortex here. And I felt really awkward, which is why I wasn't like really looking more distinctly for the peeing place, because the thing said, no public restrooms, and we reserve the right to search you and any of your bags. I was like, oh, this is telling me that they're going to definitely think of me as a shoplifting thief and be watching me all crazy while I look for this ugly restroom. And they said there's no public restroom, so it's like, alright, now I have to pee with them believing I'm possibly a customer. Alright, let's figure this out. And I didn't pee, I didn't break their sign, thank goodness, I didn't do the wrong thing, but I did find an amazing vortex due to this. There's some people over there, kind of made me feel uncomfortable. It kind of looked like they were going towards the bathroom, so I kind of waited to see if they were going towards the bathroom. And I see this sign that has a vortex on it. I'm like, whoa, what's this? I mean, how the fuck did you find the vortex? Well, actually, I wasn't trying to. I was definitely thinking that there was definitely nothing like that. I definitely had not set out to get a vortex in the beginning anyway. I was just trying to find the bus so I'd get myself a fucking sandwich for an actual price that I can afford, because Uptown Sedona is apparently rich people or something, tourist prices. $15 for a burger that I have to buy 3 of is not enough. I need to get to a store where I can buy a giant foot-long sub for $7. I can spread the mustard I carry with me all over it. Yellow mustard, as fucking generic brand as possible because it's the cheapest. I found a mustard for 58 cents. Big old mustard, 58 cents. Even had one of those nice nozzles to spread it, Usually if you find a 50% mustard, you have to like scoop it out or some bullshit. So I always buy the more expensive one because I'm looking for convenience here. I'm looking for efficiency. I want to be able to spread my mustard all nice and shit on things. Anyways, aside from all that, back to the vortex. That's why we were going to the bus stop, though, so everybody knows it's kind of the same story, but woo. So we found the vortex, completely randomly, ridiculous. How is it possible? Oh my god, thank goodness we were so weak of people that we couldn't walk further than that, because otherwise we would have passed the stupid vortex. And typically I would have wanted to pass the vortex, because there's a bunch of people there. I have a big backpack, and they're all judging me, and I don't like to be around people that judge me. I'm like, fuck these people. And, well, anyways, there I was, surely about to be judged, me and my girlfriend, and People look at me like maybe I'm a drunken homeless man, and they're looking at her with compassionate eyes like, oh, I'm sorry that you're a battered woman and you can't become free from this evil, abusive man who's no good and can't take care of you. Look at you on the street, so homely and dirty. We actually looked great at this time, but these are the fears in which would come to mind for me when people are perceiving me that are causing me to be not wanting to be around people. And there have been some sisters that have definitely given that look and that expression towards you, and I'm like, oh, it's very interesting. Of course, they don't know that we just got together, we just met each other, we've not been traveling together for years and years or something. I came to the mainland traveling, I was doing my thing, she's traveling, or she's with her mom, and then she decided to come along, I thought it was a good idea as well, because we're amazing super mirrors, and I just didn't think there was any clear mirrors around you. I thought it'd be good for you to see me in Boone. I think that's awesome. But here we are again in Sedona. We found the amazing vortex through following our steps, and then as it turns out, the bus stop was actually right across the street. Of course, there was no bus stopping there any further. It used to be across the street probably many years ago. The man was an ancient man, He remembers probably like 20 years ago. Old man is super beautiful, dude. Bill, makes ceramic pots and stuff like that. Really cool guy. Said come by, stop by, come out and met Ray and met us both and said, hey, come say hi anytime you're on this side of town. Real sweet fella, it was great to have such a great meeting with the proprietor of the establishment that held on to the vortex of this land. I mean, he's the one that's been given the task of watching the vortex, and like nobody really sees it as that, perhaps. I mean, maybe he can't even see it as that, but I see it as that. There he is, owning the spot that has the vortex. And he's keeping it nice. Like, he's got an arrow pointing it down to it. You can sit in a nice bench right there and experience it. He's got all these really cool things everywhere, and he's just making cool things, being all smiling. And he doesn't want thieves in his store. That makes sense. I mean, I don't want people stealing from me typically either. And yeah, we had a great meeting. It was beautiful. And then we found the crystal on the other side of town, and we've had nothing but angel numbers everywhere, just like what we began this conversation on, 944. It was 44 is the one we're really looking at there. We don't usually add the 9s or the 8s or the 7s or anything that happens to go with the 44. If we saw a bunch of one of those things, like 844, 844, 844, 844, then I might be like, okay, what's this 8 doing with this 44? It's usually, to me, 8's like a sign of abundance, but 6 is kind of like home and family. I mean, I'm not sure what it means myself. These angel numbers are really beautiful, though. I understand the 44s, the 33s, the 22s, the 11s, the 27s, many different numbers that are related to me on our path, and we constantly are seeing these things. It's ridiculous. Always right on time. And so that's why I have to think to myself that, shit, we must be on time. I mean, people have been giving us money, people have been all kinds of ways, and all we've been doing is channeling energy, giving teaching, constantly moving through all kinds of different chord shapes of expression, allowing the moment to move itself. I think that's pretty cool myself. I think it's pretty amazing. And so today I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I came in kind of different, into this town. I'm not really sure why I'm here. I mean, usually I come in and I move a ridiculous amount of energy. I do a ridiculous amount of light language channels. I open my own energy in huge ways. Usually when I do get to place, I kind of have like a low energy, and then I rise my energy super big. And I feel like that like brings it from low to high. It brings you from like the point of confusion to the point of clarity. And so it's not just like coming in as clarity, which is beautiful, awesome to hold that kind of resonance. And I always have that kind of resonance no matter what's going on. I'm still clear, even if I'm in confusion, I'm clear that I'm confused. And or whatever's happening. But it gives me this weird amplitude. So it's like I've gone to places and I've rose my energies from here to here. And so now every time it seems like I get somewhere, I get to do that again. Except in a microcosmic way, but it still sews in like the entire chord progression for the harmony of that particular frequency I happen to be residing within and going into. And so I get to go, okay, what's our problems here? Well, at the festival we were last at, a lot of people were having trouble with the throat chakra. So what did we have to do? We had to go through a point where none of us, all three of us amazing energy movers, could really have a lot of good information going on with our throats. We're having real big trouble that day for some reason. But then we get better. And then as we go further, all three of us get better. We all get better. We just keep getting better at it. We get really high, and then we max it out. That's as high as what everybody's able to realize at this moment. We're only able to get to this level of core progression, this level of freedom, this level of enlightenment before we max out and drain the entire energy of the entire damn thing. And before the damn festival was over, it was over. I've been to 2 festivals now since I've been in the mainland, and each one of those festivals were over before the last day. And I'm like, what the heck? Aren't people supposed to be like booming at a festival for like the entire duration? I mean, I went to my first festival years ago, and people for the entirety of the festival were going insane. The entirety of the festival. Like, what do you mean? It was powerful. In fact, that last day it was so powerful I had to go back to my tent and breathe through Violet Tendril for 9 fucking hours because of how ridiculously powerful it was. A big wall of bass. All of time was slowing down though. Everybody was starting to like match the rhythm of my heartbeat and the rhythm of my present moment, and I was like starting to like cause giant ripple effects in the whole wave of the crowd in front of me, and I could see them as they all synchronized to the thing in which my mind was synchronizing to at the moment. And I was like, oh shit, I need to get the fuck away from these people. It's causing some kind of crazy reverberation. And so I got back to my tent and I had this terrible happening. You know, maybe it was going to be great there, who knows. But for me, I was dying. I was dehydrated. I had no water. I had no weed. I needed something to calm me down. It was like, oh my God. And I found this fucking positioning that I had found previously, an algorithmic pattern, a way in which to take in energy from the universe in a really amazing way. It was laying down in the sign of a cross. You know, and eventually I think I might have been able to open up my legs more, so I was more like a star, but maybe not. There was a really beautiful, really powerful symbol in which to pull energy through yourself in a really amazing way, because everything coming down in a really amazing pillar, you know, kind of a manner, depending on how you have yourself directing into the algorithmic coding of patterns just by the way you hold your hands, your body, all kinds of things. Now I've been able to find ways to catch it with my entire body, you know, and really fall into it in a big way, catching all of the energy, catching all of the information, allowing me to stay with the center of the flow within the now moment, allow the channel to come through uninhibited by me, no resistance from me at all, allowing an effortless expression, allowing consciousness in its full, all of enlightened mind, the conglomeration of it, expressing to a single point, allowing it to come through the hollow bone that is our being. It was a really amazing thing. And so it was cool to go to that Violet Tendril, you know, because I sweat so much, I thought I was for sure going to die. And I mean, there was nothing I could do. There was nobody there to save me. Nobody was going to help me. There was nobody. And so, and I was not able to see anybody at that time. I was freaking out real bad. So I just breathed and breathed and breathed. And then images began coming. And I started to realize that I had breathed into a really amazing place to where I could release the images. You know, I had gotten this secret teaching. I wasn't meant to get it. I wasn't at the level of practice I was meant to get this teaching. But I had a girl that was the Lama's assistant. I was a girlfriend. Or I was a boyfriend of this girl who was the Lama's assistant. So she worked with Lama Sostra Malione directly. And so yeah, she had all these teachings on a computer. She was supposed to sort all these different things. And I got to listen to some teachings. It was either the teachings from her or the teachings that Raman Calvinese had given me of lamas that I wasn't supposed to hear. You know, but I listened to them anyway. And she was talking about, I think, some type of cloud gazing, Prajnaparamita practice, or cloud gazing in some way, where you're like the clouds are changing images, and that no matter what the image is, you don't catch on to it. You don't think that you've ever seen it. You allow it to fade away. And the next image comes, you allow it to fade away. And it'll become the most amazing mandalas and the most phenomenal geometries, and you just let it fade away, because it's going to look like the thing you're looking for. But it's not. It's not the thing you're looking for. And so don't catch it. Whatever you do, don't look at it, you know. And I mean, you can see it and look at it, but don't think it's it. And like grab onto it, grasp it, you know. So it's like constantly allowing it to fade. You know, first the image of the cloud as a cloud is there, and then the cloud can change form. The cloud can change form. This also reminds me of nature divination. And when you watch the clouds, if you're really present with the clouds and really loosen your mind, really soften your gaze. So shamatha practice is to soften the gaze. Open eye meditation, just observing the breath but not focusing. And so that allows you to not focus on objects, softens the gaze, allows the borders to fade away and then images to change. This is huge because all is mind. And so if you can really allow the lucidity of these solid objects to move themselves, that doesn't mean that they change their form forever, but they're able to show you something there in that moment. You're still going to pierce back into this precision of focus where everybody is collectively residing, but you're able for times to transcend and see through the veil and understand then what is happening. And it's not that this tree isn't a tree in front of us, it's just that it's not a tree in the manner in which we believe it to be a tree separately from everything. And so there's a way to remove the veil of separation, the veil of duality, the veil of illusion. And in doing this, you're able to bring yourself into such an amazing, phenomenal place of peace and understanding and equanimity with all things. And now your being is radiating constantly the truth in which you embody. And that's a very beneficial thing to add this kind of vibration or frequency to the collective energy, to the resonant field of our conscious collective, of everybody's collective vibrational pattern, where it's like the average mean of everybody's added frequency, where is that? And so now when you raise yours, it creates that collective mean, now we're in this median. So before in the dark ages, we're down here in this median. Everybody was commonly this level of realization. And there were some amazing people realizing too, but common was here, and now common is up here. And that's really good, because now we're not really feeling like killing each other anymore. It's a lot of different compassions are now mixing in, a lot of different understandings, a lot of different descriptions of ways that things could be. And so, here in America or United States, it's very odd if somebody were to cut off somebody's head. It would be very strange, but there are other countries to where it's not quite as odd, to where a head may be decapitated from somebody and children might kick around the head immediately afterwards as a soccer game and have a lot of fun with it, actually, and not like, for us, we would think, oh, these evil children. But for them, in their reality, it's actually kind of like if you were kicking around a stone or a can with your friends. And I know that seems odd. You're like, this is not the same. Kicking around a can with my friends is not the same as kicking around a person's head that was literally just decapitated from his body. I mean, even if it wasn't literally, it's kind of nicer when it's literally just decapitated, because at least it's still fresh. You're not like kicking into a rotten flesh that's got like maggots on your foot or something. Like, oh, it's kind of a little more disturbing, that perhaps, I don't know. Either way, it's pretty damn disturbing. For us in this world, we are not thinking that makes sense. Like, oh, geez, what do you mean? This is something of horror movies. This is not something that ever happens. But there are actually places presently in this world that this does happen currently. And so we are at different means in those conscious collective fields. But still, there's a global collective field. Then there's a collective field when it comes to culture or region. And so you can find these things in different ways, and that's why you'll find like a tone to a country. You go into a country, you feel a tone. You're like, ooh, what's this tone, But anyways, so as we raise our own frequency, we raise the collective mean of society. So as you rise yourself, you literally rise all of the world. As you understand and realize yourself, you realize and understand all of the world. You raise all of the world as you raise you. So everybody wants to raise everybody else. But in some way, in the realms of non-duality, there is no else to be raising, so that's a complete false statement to ever be wishing to do. I wish to rise others. Well, there is no other, as Ramana Maharshi has said, there is no other. So go ahead, wish to rise others, but there's not others. So you're not going to be able to do that, because they're not anything that you can rise. You cannot rise another, because there is not another. And now this is a crazy game of very amazing logical semantics, but it's true. As it turns out, we are writing our frequency with falsities that are illusory realities that are causing us duality. And that's, again, duality is separation or illusion. There is no separation, and so duality itself is purely illusory. Purely illusory. People are like, okay, there's non-duality and there's duality. No, there's non-duality, and then there's the belief of duality within non-duality that is still non-duality, and is non-duality using what is appearing to be duality to move itself in a really amazing manner. But there is no separation in itself, so there is no way to describe something doing anything outside of what non-duality is doing, because non-duality is the only thing doing something. And this is a really interesting way in which to describe the non-separation, by calling it this name of non-duality, because it's kind of like not really pointing at anything with a great definition. Non-duality, okay, not separateness, but can we form this? Can we look at this? Can we define it? Well, it's quite the limitless and boundless thing. We could form it by calling it formless. It's formless, all right. Well, that's kind of in a way forming it to be formless. And then you'll find it with form. And you're like, oh wait, well, what about this though? Here's a form. It's like, yeah, but that form is still formlessness. You're like, oh, what the heck? Emptiness is form, form is emptiness. The Heart Sutra in Buddhism, that literally the makeup of everything is emptiness. And so the form that you see is actually emptiness forming itself through compilations and layers upon itself of emptiness upon emptiness upon emptiness upon emptiness upon emptiness upon emptiness. And it's the same emptiness, actually, just arranged in different ways due to the layering of the particular way in which we're viewing at that point that creates the unique shapes of how emptiness is being able to perceive itself as form, but only through the process of the compilation of all of its emptiness. And so when you stack emptiness upon itself enough, there's so much emptiness there that it creates the illusion of form, which is still form. So form being called illusion is kind of silly because it is form. There it is. That's the form right there. You see the tree. But still, that tree is made of emptiness. And so the only reason that the tree can't have form is because of all of the emptiness. And the only way that form could be is because of emptiness being there again. And so form is emptiness. And emptiness itself is also form, because here we have form, but it is empty. And that form that we have is created by the emptiness being compiled so many times upon itself that we have an image of form. It's really amazing. Phenomenal. I got this teaching in an LSD ceremony where I set the intention to be happy, and apparently what makes me happy is a realization and wisdom. Thank goodness. Who knew? I was going to think that I was going to have a great fun time with my friends. And in a way, I did have a great fun time with my friends, just in a much more intense manner than ever previously thought possible. But that's how it is, experiencing the layers of consciousness, experiencing all kinds of different things that were previously unknown, but also always known. It's not like you've learned something new. A lot of people have gone into weird glimpses to where they've learned something completely new and strange and wrong and this and that, and I'm like, it's very interesting.